Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Multiverse, DC Direct, Page Punchers, Mr. Freeze. This is part of the Batman wave, Fighting the Frozen, and this is the gold label San Diego Comic-Con sketch version. I didn't go to San Diego Comic-Con, and they haven't offered this in any other way, so I had to go to eBay to get this thing. Luckily, I was able to negotiate and get the price down to about what I wanted. So let's take a look at the packaging, and I must say I am not a fan of how they've changed the packaging. It's clear, transparent, sort of clamshell at the top. It says DC, McFarlane Toys. This is a gold label. Typically a gold label exclusive is a retailer exclusive, Target, Walmart, Amazon, wherever. This particular one is a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. Maybe be offered somewhere else, but that is yet to be determined. Age 12 plus, includes an English comic. Mr. Freeze, DC Direct. Here's the package. He has a freeze ray, and he's in a very large, bulky suit. Backside here, DC Comics, and here's the barcode, in case that helps anyone. So with no further ado, let's open him up. And yes, I did get two of these figures, one of which to open and enjoy, and one to keep unopened in my complete, unopened, Batman-related action figure collection. Here's this sketch version of Mr. Freeze, next to the regular version on the right. And here's the entire fifth wave of Page Punchers, the Batman wave, Fighting the Frozen. But it is still incomplete, as there's a Platinum Chase version of Batgirl. I am looking hard to find two of those. Alright, now that this figure out of the package, here he is with all the accessories laid out. He comes with a display stand, a collector's card, a comic, and then, of course, his freeze ray. But before we take a look at those, let's talk about and check out the actual figure. So this is Mr. Freeze from the comic story Batman Fighting the Frozen. It's a McFarlane original comic story. In the story, it takes place in the 1800s, and Mr. Freeze is trying to save his wife. He causes a giant storm and ends up going back in time. Of course, there he meets Batman, Robin, and Batgirl. They're sort of cavemen, prehistoric. Very unique story, very interesting story. I actually read the comic. I wish it would go on for longer. I was definitely curious to see what else would possibly happen. So this Mr. Freeze figure is very unique. He's very bulky. He looks kind of like an old school scuba diver. He looks like Big Daddy from BioShock, and that's kind of the appeal. A unique take on Mr. Freeze. It's kind of like an 1800s version of Mr. Freeze, almost like the Gotham by Gaslight era. And not only that, this is the gold label San Diego Comic-Con exclusive sketch version, meaning he's just in black and white, as if they sketched him and hasn't been colored in yet. This is pretty much the second version of Mr. Freeze they've made, the Page Puncher and then the Multiverse version, but in all reality, each one had a variant, so this is now the fourth Mr. Freeze figure in the DC Multiverse line. It's about time. So let's take a look. Like I said, old school, sort of scuba diver, just the two dots for the eyes. Looks kind of weird, but cool. Metal with all those bolts around it. You can see the texture is pretty good on the helmet there. All black and white, very interesting. Allows you to see some of the detail a little bit differently than before. Single jointed elbows, single jointed knees. Nice bit of sort of texturing on the different parts of the suit. Very unique, sort of cell shaded. It looks cool, not as cool as the original, but it's a paint variant, sketch version. Not really something that makes sense for the rest of your action figures to interact with, but a cool display piece if you're into variants. And of course, I am. And a closer look at his face, helmet, and head sculpt. Not really much going on with his face there. It's just sort of a black with two little dots there. Still, has some charm to it, that's for sure. I really do like his old school sort of scuba diving type helmet. Now let's check out his accessories. Let's start off with the boring stuff. Here's his display stand. Typical McFarlane stand we've seen a bunch of times before. Black perfect circle, very thin, very basic. Not for his collector's card. As you can see, it's the sketch version of this Page Puncher Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze. The backside, there is a little description. If you want to read that, go ahead and pause now. Here's the sketch version's collector's card on the left, next to the original versions on the right. I'm surprised it's not the same image, just done in black and white. It's a completely different image of this Mr. Freeze. Now for the comic. This is a McFarlane designed DC Batman comic. It is called Batman Fighting the Frozen, #1. You can see Freeze in the background, Batman, Robin, Batgirl, all done in that sort of sketch design. Inside of the comic is still done in color. You can see the beginning here, Gotham City, 1876, old school like Mr. Freeze, working to save his wife. And then, bam, something happens. He gets shot way into the past. In this past, we've got the sort of Robin tribesman. He tries to help the Bat Clan figure out what's going on. They confront Mr. Freeze, and they end up beating him and saving, I don't know, Gotham City or the world, whatever it is at this point. Very unique, cool idea for a comic, but not exactly very practical. Here's the sketch comic on the left, next to the regular comic on the right. You can see both them are the exact same as their collector's card picture. Here are all 5 of Batman Fighting the Frozen #1 that I have. We have the comics from Batman, Robin, Sketch Freeze, Batgirl, and regular Freeze. Of course there's a Platinum Chase Batgirl out there, and I'm definitely on the hunt for her. I wonder if her comic is different than the regular version. I'm betting it is, at least a little bit. Now for his Freeze Ray, which is also done in the black and white sketch coloring. So we have the backpack here. It's got all kind of different knobs and dials. Old school, to say the least. It's got these sort of pipes coming out of here. It goes all the way to the actual Freeze Ray itself. Mr. Freeze can hold that, grip it, and fire at will. I think it's very cool that it actually comes with a freeze gun. A couple of years ago, Warner Brothers made a no-gun policy. Absolutely no officially licensed DC figures can come with guns in any way, shape, or form. And it looks like, at least at this point, they're able to get away with sci-fi type guns. And I thank them for that. Here's the sketch version of the Freeze Ray, next to the regular version. Here's the sketch Freeze, holding his Freeze Ray. You can see he can grip it with his hand, no problem. And then we have the backpack attached to the back. It looks pretty good. We have black side on one side, white side on the other, sort of matching the paint job on the actual figure. Now I wanted to check out the differences between the sketch version of the page cruncher Mr. Freeze and the regular version, besides the obvious paint differences. And there are none. They're 100% the same figure, same sculpt, same articulation, totally different paint job. So you can see their heads here. This one has all the different detail. Eyes are red. It's got the silver sort of metallic paint job. Go further down. Like I said, exact same figure. The details are a lot more noticeable in this guy here as the color brings him out. This guy here, a lot more bland. Still, they're both pretty cool. But this one, definitely my preferred look. Now that we've taken a pretty good look at both the figure and his accessories, now let's check out his height. From bottom to the top of his suit, standing right at 7 inches tall, which can translate to just under 18 centimeters. And for a big, bulky, armored suit type figure, I feel like he should be a little bigger. Now for his articulation. Starting with his head here. At the bottom of his helmet, he's got a ball joint. He can rotate from side to side. He can look up and down about that far. Can tilt his head a little bit from side to side, but not much. Shoulders on a ball joint. Goes out a little bit less than 90 degrees. Up, down, around, all that good stuff. He's got a single jointed elbow, about a 90-degree bend with rotation. His wrist can rotate, and it's going to be hinged as well. His torso appears to be one solid piece. He's got a ball joint in his waist, rotate from side to side, forward and back. Legs, almost complete does the splits, not a ball joint, McFarlane style hip joints. And then go forward, not too much, back, not much at all. Rotation, it's okay. He's got a single jointed knee, goes in about 90 degrees with rotation, and then his ankle, forward and back, tilt rock, and of course, toe articulation. Here's Mr. Freeze, 16,000 years in the past. This is his new base, his ice-cold lair. A closer look at Mr. Freeze in front of his base. Very comfortable in this cold world he's created. Shortly after, in his base, Mr. Freeze is looking at his wife Nora. She's frozen. Her sickness is frozen with her. He promises to find a cure. Batman, Robin, and Batgirl, they know something's wrong. They're coming toward this new icy base. The only thing that's different in Gotham City. Inside, they attack Mr. Freeze. They don't know exactly what's going on, but they know he's responsible. And here's a look at this entire wave. Kind of reminds me of the old Legends of Batman line, where they made a lot of Elseworld figures. It's kind of cool from that point of view. Here are both versions of the Page Puncher Mr. Freeze, with both versions in the package behind them. Now let's check them out. Next to some other action figures, starting off with some other Mr. Freeze figures. Here he is, next to the regular version of McFarlane's Page Puncher Mr. Freeze. Here he is, next to a couple of other McFarlane Mr. Freeze figures. These are from the Rebirth comics. We have the regular version and the Platinum Chase variant, redone in Superpowers colors. Now just look at the shoulders on the Page Puncher Freeze and the Rebirth Freeze. The Rebirth Freeze is considerably taller. Overall, his body is just a lot bigger, a lot taller. Now the Page Puncher is a lot thicker. The proportions are just totally different. I really feel like the Page Puncher Freeze, for such a big, bulky armored figure, should be a little bit bigger. And here he is, next to McFarlane's 1966 Mr. Freeze. Here are all 5 of McFarlane's Mr. Freeze figures. We have the Rebirth comics, Page Puncher, and 1966. Think about it, a year ago we had 0 McFarlane Mr. Freeze figures. Now we have 5 of them. And the next one we're coming out is going to be the Arnold Schwarzenegger Batman and Robin Mr. Freeze. Now let's check him out. Next to some Mr. Freeze figures from different various companies. Here he is, next to a Diamond Select Toys Gotham Mr. Freeze. And here he is, next to all of my DC Direct and DC Collectibles Mr. Freeze figures. Here's this Freeze, next to the Mezco 112 Collective Mr. Freeze. Then, next to all of my Mattel Mr. Freeze figures. Here are all of my Mr. Freeze figures. I don't have all of them in the 6 and 7 inch scale, but damn close. And here he is, next to several different Kenner Frostbite figures from Batman and Robin. Frostbite was a Mr. Freeze henchman in the film. There were a bunch of them. And I think it is so cool that we actually got an officially licensed Mr. Freeze henchman, even if it's old and small. Here's a sketch Mr. Freeze, next to the only other sketch figure I can think of that I have. This is a Jim Lee sketch Batman for the New 52. And I guess these guys are also sketch versions of the characters, Black Adam and Batman, from the first wave of Page Punchers. Now let's check them out. Next to some other San Diego Comic-Con exclusive McFarlane figures, we have the Dark Knight's Metal Alan Scott Dread Lantern, the sketch version of the Mr. Freeze Page Puncher figure, the 85th anniversary of Superman figure, and the 30th anniversary Nightfall Batman. These are all San Diego Comic-Con exclusive figures, but right now you can get the Alan Scott, Mr. Freeze, and Superman as a bundle at the McFarlane Toy Store for $90, a pretty fair price. There are also the Dark Knight Trilogy Gold Label figures, Joker as Bank Robber, Sonar Joker, and then Bane with a soft goods coat. With any luck, I should have those tomorrow. Now let's check them out. Next to some other Page Punchers. Here he is, next to the first wave of Page Punchers and all the different variants. This is a Black Adam themed wave. We have Black Adam, Constantine, Batman, and Superman. And then here, with the second wave of Page Punchers, this is based off Injustice 2. We have Green Arrow, Batman, Supergirl, and Dr. Fate. Then, next to the third wave of Page Punchers, this is a Flash-themed wave. We have the Atom, Flash, Brother Grodd, Heat Wave, and both versions of Captain Cold. And now, next to the fourth wave of Page Punchers, this is an Aquaman-themed wave. We have Aquaman, Aqualad, Ocean Master, and Black Manta. And finally, next to the fifth wave of Page Punchers, this is a Batman-themed wave, Fighting the Frozen, Batman, Robin, Mr. Freeze, and Batgirl. There's also a Platinum Chase variant of Batgirl, and I'm hunting for a pair of those. If anybody has a lead on that, drop me a line in the comments below. Now, the sixth wave of Page Punchers is going to be some kind of Superman-themed wave. I don't really know much more than that, but if they follow the trend, they're probably not going to be your traditional type of Superman figures. Now let's check them out. Next to some other recently released McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Here he is, next to the Blue Beetle movie figures. We have the regular Blue Beetle, Battle Mode Blue Beetle, and then Carapace. And here he is, next to some recent McFarlane Toy Store exclusive Gold Label variants. Superman is Unchained Armor Patina variant, Catman, Kyle Rayner Blue Lantern, and Dick Grayson Robin. Then, next to some recent Tarte exclusive Gold Label figures. Here's Mr. Freeze, next to the Superman vs. Doomsday 2-pack. And now, with some Tarte exclusive Jokerized figures, here's Mr. Freeze, next to even more Tarte exclusive Gold Label figures. Sinestro Corps Batman, Ted Corps Blue Beetle, Flash War Impulse, and Deadman. And here he is, next to the Target exclusive Flashpoint Wave, Aquaman, Project Superman, and Flash himself. Then, next to the Injustice 2 3-pack, Batman, Supergirl, and Dr. Fate. And now, next to the Big Bad Toy Store exclusive, black and white accent Superman and Flash, here's Mr. Freeze, next to the goofy head sculpt Rebirth Superman vs. Ultraman 2-pack. Then, next to the most recent Batman wave, we have the Nightfall Batman, Batman Incorporated Batwing, and the Batman Reborn Two-Faces Batman. Then, next to some recent Walmart exclusive Gold Eagle figures, we have the Vampire Joker, Batman and Superman, Captain Atom, Beast Boy, and Eradicator. And finally, next to the most recent Build-A-Figure wave, this is the Titans wave, Collective Build Beast Boy. Now let's check him out, next to some action figures from different various companies, so we can see how he fits in, both scale and style-wise, in case you don't know which lines you can mix him with. Since he's a McFarlane toy, they're typically the 7-inch scale. I'm going to start off my comparisons with some of the larger action figure lines I collect, and work my way smaller. But first, let's check him out with some of his McFarlane Toys brothers. In front of you are 5 different action figure lines, all from McFarlane Toys, all 7-inch scale. Then, with some more McFarlane toys, these are from different various video game properties. And now, with some Jack-specific wrestling figures, here's Mr. Freeze, next to a bottle of Raspberry Lemonade Mountain Dew. And here he is, next to some DST or Diamond Select toys. Then, with some DC Direct and DC Collectibles figures. And here he is, standing with some NECA figures. Then, with some Mattel wrestling figures. And now, with some Jazzwares AEW wrestlers. And here he is, next to some Mezco 112 collected figures. Then, with some Mattel DC Universe Classics and Multiverse figures. And here he is, with some Makefix figures. Then, with some Hasbro Marvel Legends. And here he is, next to some SH Figure Arts action figures. And finally, next to some Jazzwares Fortnite figures. So overall, it's a pretty cool and unique Mr. Freeze figure, and this one is even more unique than the regular one as far as it being a sketch variant, which makes it, in my opinion, less desirable than the regular one, but perhaps more rare and sought after. His articulation is kind of weak. Even the single joints, you're not getting that much out of him. For a big bulky figure, he moves about as little as you'd expect. Accessories, it's really just the freeze ray, and I think it's pretty cool. Sculpt and paint job, well, the sculpt is fantastic. The paint job, well, it's kind of different on this guy. Not a traditional paint job, but it's crisp for what it is. If I were to rate this figure, probably going to give him a 5.5 out of 10. Just definitely not a necessary figure. I enjoy the variants, but if you're trying to have action figure displays, this guy will really not fit in. Sure, you can kind of use him as a regular freeze. The sketch work kind of looks like he has a white suit, just some black sort of highlights, so it kind of works for a regular Mr. Freeze. Still, I much prefer the fully painted Page Puncher version. That guy's pretty cool and unique. So this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say about the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate when you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.